And back in Taiwan, the Penghu Islands are almost completely dependent on tourism to keep the local economy vibrant. But that can be risky because Penghu gets few visitors after October when northeasterly monsoon winds arrive. Hoping to diversify its economy, Penghu held a referendum last month on opening its doors to the gaming industry, but voters rejected the idea. So where does Penghu go now, given its population outflow, an ongoing shortage of medical resources and transportation infrastructure? This is part one of a two-part special report.
The results of Penghu's most recent referendum on gambling were released on October 15th, with more than 80% of voters deciding to keep the gaming industry out of the island chain. October's referendum followed the rejection of a similar measure in 2009. Why did it take only 7 years for Penghu to hold a second vote on building casinos? And why is there such intense interest in using casinos to develop the island chain? One reason? The annual development budget Penghu has to work with is far below what some gambling advocates want.
离岛建设条例里面的规范要求澎湖县政府
The Offshore Islands Development Act requires the Penghu County government to engage in one development project every 4 years, with the central government to contribute to the project's funding. But every time the county government has proposed a budget of tens of millions of NT dollars, it has never been allotted anything more than a small fraction of that.
Unwilling to depend on what they see as central government largesse, some Penghu residents have sought to turn to the gaming industry for a way out of the county's financial hole. But to many in socially conservative Penghu, letting casinos move in would be a real gamble. 10 years ago, Fu Ching-fan decided to move back to his wife's family's home in Penghu after facing health issues. What he didn't expect was that Penghu's clean air, water, and food would help nurse him back to health. The experience strengthened his resolve to protect Penghu's natural environment.
因为我觉得赌场这样进来，不是很单纯的一个经济活动而已，因为它牵涉的层面太。
I think that the arrival of casinos won't just involve casinos alone. It will bring in too many other types of businesses. Morality, the natural environment, all areas will be affected.
But supporters of bringing casinos to Penghu made an even bigger push ahead of the second referendum, coming out with a welcoming slogan to help attract foreign investment to the county.
We had signed a development plan with the Cordish Companies in the U.S., which outlined a number of fees and set initial investment at 18 billion NT. That sum was later increased by 6 billion NT to a total of 24 billion NT.
To attract foreign investors, gambling proponents use terms like entertainment city rather than casino to describe their plans. But even plans to limit the casinos to 5% of the space in those cities proved enough to spur controversy.
一锅饭好了，放了5%的老鼠大便。
Would you eat a pot of rice that was 5% rat droppings? Of course you wouldn't. The key is that 5%.
Anti-gambling advocates focus their attacks on the moral aspect of the question. Pro-gambling groups shot back, saying the casinos would lift those in the county out of poverty.
过去2-3年的期间，我们曾经对澎湖
For the past 2 or 3 years, we've been developing a quantitative model for analyzing the development of gambling in Penghu, which found that an investment of $1 billion could create additional tax revenues of 4 billion NT in year 1.
高中毕业，澎湖的水产毕业，17岁、18岁，你年龄够了就进。
17 and 18-year-old high school graduates in Penghu will just go to the casinos for work when they're old enough. The salary is so good, what other choice will they have? They won't have a choice.
Those opposed to gambling won a crushing victory in Penghu's second referendum on the issue, accounting for over 80% of the vote total. Some saw Tsai Ing-wen's anti-gambling stance prior to the vote as a key factor in the result. Penghu County Commissioner Chen Kuang-fu, who was seen as partial to the pro-gambling camp, moved to put the ball squarely in the president's court.
既然人家在讲其他的，你接二连三出来表示。
Since you said that Penghu shouldn't have casinos, and since people from Penghu trust you and the central government, we are really looking forward to the central government coming out with a plan in the next 2 or 3 years to solve these problems that have plagued Penghu for decades.
With so many of the county's residents voting to keep the gambling industry out of the county this last time around, where will the people of Penghu now turn for solutions to the long list of problems affecting their homes off the coast of Taiwan?